Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Karen. We are being joined via Zoom by Commissioner Johnson. Good morning, Commissioner Johnson. In the audience, we have select person Elaine Higgins from Freedom Maine. Thank you, Elaine. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning. We have, as of yesterday, $117,879.92 in the county checkbook, and we have $12,084.32 in the jail checkbook. We are on all borrowed money right now. We have borrowed a total of $570,000 so far, which we're still under than this time last year. So we're still doing good there.
Good.
We should be at 16.7% at the end of February. The county is at 14 and the jail is at 13. So
Good.
we're doing good. And I don't have, there's not.
That's the news for the day.
That's the news. There's not a whole lot going on.
Well, good job. I'm gonna make a motion to accept the finance director's report.
Bill has
second.
made a motion. Betty? You will
Second,
second. Any further? Seeing none, all of those in favor?
aye.
Okay. All right, for the warrants, we have two because Karen has been able to modify these so that we're not doing multiple ones. The first warrant for the county's accounts payable and reserve warrant is for $257,500.59.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor? Aye.
yep,
The second warrant is for the MCRRC accounts payable and reserve warrant for a total of $152,907.06.
so moved.
Second,
Moved,
second,
seconded, and discussion. Seeing none, all of those in favor? Aye.
aye.
Aye, okay. Are there
That's all I
any,
have.
are there any further questions for Karen? Karen, I haven't had a chance to use my highlighter yet.
Yeah, I
so-
noticed. You'll have questions later.
Yeah. Thank you very,
I
very
don't know
much.
who's next.
Karen, would you be so kind as to
I'll
set
tell
Kelly in?
Kelly.
Thank you. I thought we were only supposed to get a dusting of 1 to 2
Yeah,
inches.
we were,
I think we got more last night than we got the night before.
I think so.
so one of the man should lose his job.
They never, I think they guess every day, like, good snow. And then when it doesn't, they just say it changed patterns.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Miss Kelly.
Sorry, you guys are so fast.
We are speaking as
You
always.
are. Hi, Betty. Oh, sorry, little guy. Sorry, did I scare you? I said hi to Betty and I scared you. I didn't see you, Vlad. Hi, handsome. Okay, sorry. So official. I don't have anything for HR. We're doing well. I was asked to do your county clerk
Correspondence,
correspondence.
certainly.
So you have a card that I'm going to give to you guys to read at your convenience. Here's the card. I'm wondering if you have reviewed February 17th minutes. February 17th of 2022.
I have.
Okay.
You had a chance to review
Yeah.
the minutes.
you know.
Are you approving them as written?
Betty,
Yeah.
have you had a chance?
Yes,
I'll entertain.
approve is written.
Betty's made the motion.
Second,
Second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor?
yes,
Aye,
He's watching.
aye.
Little guy's watching you. And then the only other thing is, Betty, did you want to take time to discuss the main assembly about the International Peace Proclamation and Grand Peace Treaty of the United States. Did you want to
I know
discuss today?
about it any more than anybody else does.
Okay,
So.
Okay. I haven't basically even seen the article. I looked quickly at it, but I mean, it mentions our county, but I know nothing about it, and nothing that was discussed at MCCA. So maybe it will be this week. I don't know, but it's something that came out of the blue.
I'm glad to hear this, Betty, because I noticed that there was only 9 counties on there, and I've spoken with 2 others, not even our own, that are listed on that, and they're not even aware of this.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It just came out of the blue, so I don't know.
By the fact attaching our name to it,
yes.
Right.
but
Yeah,
I
next week it may show, we may talk about it at the MCCA meeting, but I know nothing.
I don't see any action needs to be taken on it, just
Think so.
reflect the fact that our displeasure that we've been attached to something that we're not even familiar with, and
Well,
should go no further.
one of the things I think is because we do have a couple on, or at least one unorganized territory. And so I assume that most of these have unorganized territories.
And
That's
that was,
Only connection
and that was my thought also, but then when I realized that there were multiple counties that also have unorganized territories, large
now do you
unorganized territories. on
Right.
there. I
right, they're not-
just wanted to show our displeasure for being added to something that we,
Right.
we.
yeah,
hear
that,
about.
so, I'll ask about it if, at our meeting next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Betty.
So unless you have anything else for me, I'm done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
See
very
you,
much.
Betty.
Okay,
Eduardo,
see you soon.
Jason, you're up, boss. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am, and sir, and ma'am, and ma'am. I don't, does Bojangles, sir, is that
He
Does-
prefers Mr. Lee,
Mr. Wee? Okay, I didn't know if he is highness or anything like that.
sometimes.
All right, all right. Good day, everyone. Been moving forward with the Office 365 conversion process. I've got 4 users, including myself, on there now. We're gonna be testing it out for a couple of weeks and see how that goes. I had originally wanted to test it out myself first,
Right,
but a couple of the detectives had asked me if we had any software to allow them to do dictation for their reports. I didn't have anything, but this new version of Office includes it. So I kind of threw them under the bus, but I said, if you want to be guinea pigs, you can try this out. And they seemed okay with it. So they are on it now.
don't complain,
as-
yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted it to be fully transparent that they were, I can have you try this, but it is a trial. Them, and then Mike Larrabee is on it as well as of yesterday. So we're trying that out. I've gotten 3 quotes for phone system replacements. I just got them in yesterday, so I'm going to start looking those over, and then I'll report back to you on that, what I find.
Is this for all of our phones? or
Yes, yeah, this is for all of the phones, for multiple reasons. One, because our system is from like 1990 something, I want to say. 2, because the phone system at the sheriff's office is maxed out. We can't add any more extensions or anything like that. And then it's got a lot of benefits, but one of them would be I spec'd out the system so it would all be one system for the entire county. So instead of, if you're Karen and you're trying to call Michelle, you don't have to dial out and then her extension, you just dial her extension directly. So that as well. Plus it's just it's also kind of just a risk abatement issue because, the phone system is working now, but who knows for how much longer. So, and this, I should say, this doesn't affect the 911 phones at all. That's an entirely separate system. So this won't be affecting that. If our system were to crash, it wouldn't affect that. It would just be inter-office phones, but anyway, so I've gotten 3 quotes about that. I will look those over and forward those to you and get back to you on those once I have answered my questions on them. 2 are they're all from companies that have presences in Maine. I don't know that they're based in Maine. One is from CMC in Farmingdale. One is from First Light Fiber, and another is from Peerless Networks. 2 of them are hosted systems on the cloud, and one is an internal system. So,
Which means,
we would have a physical phone system box here, and we would manage it and everything like that. We would pay for it up front, and then we would own it. The cloud systems are more like the system that's upstairs at Probate, where we pay a monthly fee for it. And we can still change it, but it's managed on the cloud piece.
so just to show my technology.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
We're currently with Spectrum.
For our phone system, we don't have anyone host our phone system. Consolidated host our phone lines currently, yes. We get all of our phone numbers through Consolidated.
Okay,
Yeah, and going to a new phone system, whether we went on premise or on the cloud, we would have the option of staying with Consolidated or moving to another provider. What I have also done as part of this process is I have sent off our phone bills to these companies to see what they can find for us comparable or saving us money, as well as our internet bills to see if there's anything, because the only contract we're under right now is the Probate phones upstairs and then the phones over at the Unified Court building. Everything else we're month to month. So I said, why don't we shop around at the time as well and see if we can find anything that will save us money, give us a better product, or both. So,
Good.
yeah. So again, nothing is changing on that. Nothing you have to decide or anything. I just wanted to let you know that that is in the process. I did request and receive a credit from Seacoast Security. We were paying a monthly or a yearly maintenance plan on the cameras, both at the jail and at the sheriff's office. The ones at the sheriff's office are no longer supported. So I didn't understand why we were paying a maintenance plan on it if they're not going to maintain it. So I did get that money back. I'm going to work with Karen to either get that credit put back into the system or use it elsewhere, because we use them for like the cameras over at the jails, et cetera. And then I'm also starting to look at a new camera system for the sheriff's office that would be supported still and maintained. So I haven't received any quotes back on that, but I am kind of looking into that to see what it would take and all that sort of thing. So I know this is all dollar signs in your head, and
yeah.
it is, I agree.
Well, it's like,
So, but those are, the camera system is original to that building. So I don't remember if that was, I think we're going on at least 12, 15 years now, maybe. So I am looking for, I did send out some quotes for website quotes for redesign sort of thing, not something we have to do, but I thought it was kind of time to look at that as well. I'll let you know when I get those back. I have set up the time clock for the comm center to use an iPad to be able to clock in with the new payroll system. I'm going to bring that down to Kelly so she can test it out, see if it works the way it should. And
I thought they were able to do it on their phones.
they are, but they also they asked for a time clock over there. We had an iPad sitting around. It's no additional cost to us. So we'll put it in once they're done the construction of the kitchen area there. We'll put it in there so they can just clock in and clock out on that.
Is Kelly as HR, does she have access to, just as HR, she should be able to be updated on their scheduling just as she is any other employee? Would you please make sure that she is able to access Schedule Express?
Yes, yeah, I'll do that. Yep. I don't know if she does, but I can add her to
Yeah,
that
I'm
if
not
she
sure
doesn't.
if she is or not.
Yep,
but
I will
as
add her
HR,
to
she
that.
should have
Oh, yeah,
access to all of
definitely.
that.
Yep. And that's about all I had for you. We did sign the contract with the IT recycling company in Waterville.
Yeah.
So I'm working on building a pallet for them up at the sheriff's office. And once we have that ready to go, I'll let them know and they'll come and pick it up and
Good.
take it away. So I'm cleaning out stuff for that. And we did get the new Windows licenses in as well. So I'm going to work on upgrading those. So thank you for that.
That's awesome.
Very good, Jason.
That's all I had. Not asking for any money today, but
Yeah.
In the future.
You are.
Yes, yes, so.
Don't you, Betty? Oh my gosh, it's like a 16-year-old girl going to prom.
Well, I'm trying to, none of it's really for me though, so, that's the way I justify it. I tried to tell, yesterday, I tried to tell Matt Curtis that he had asked for, voicemail boxes for all of the deputies, because we can't do that right now, so I tried to have him sign off on a new phone system quote and bill it to him, but he didn't
Buy.
go for that.
We have the car cams in, right? Or do we have the?
Yes, we have the
cams, but
car.
We don't have the cars.
Yes, so we have the car
Right.
cameras. We got the one car camera we were missing. We got that in yesterday. So we're all set for that. We have all the car cameras, all the body cameras.
Okay.
Now they're coming in that's still on February. Anyway, not next Monday, but the Monday after to start installing vehicle cameras. And I believe I talked to Matt yesterday, and I believe he said that we're gonna have installing them in 8 vehicles right now. And then wait until the 5 and 3 come in and then install those.
I know it is such a crime to spend all the money to install. them.
Yeah, and then tear them out and,
Cruisers, because we're waiting 2 years to get.
yeah. So that's my understanding is he's gonna do 8 of them now and then wait until the next ones come in. And I don't know if he's gonna have Mike do those when he builds the cruisers or have this company come back. But either way, if we have the company come back, it's my understanding that it's included in our installation fee, so it shouldn't be any additional cost.
Betty, do you have any questions for Jason? Excellent, you got the
No.
thumbs up, thumbs up. Commissioner Shore, what about you?
Nope.
I have no further questions.
Any questions?
Elaine?
Other than being totally confused on phone.
All right, well, is there anything I can do to help unconfuse you?
No, the question I have you can't answer is, do we have a clue when we're gonna get those vehicles?
Yeah, that one I don't.
Nobody knows.
That one, I will be honest, I don't have an answer, and I'm kind of glad I'm out of that process. Because I would be super frustrated.
I asked the lieutenant the other day when we were in a meeting, and they're not there. They're not out there even kind of.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really, but guess what, folks? We're not the only ones in that.
No, exactly. And I have run into, obviously not with vehicles, but with other vendors, parts, or even getting work done because of staff shortages. And I've tried I have one vendor that hasn't been communicating as much as I wish they had been. But I've tried to be honest with everyone and say, like, I get it. Everyone's struggling right now. Just keep me updated, keep me in the loop, even if you have nothing to tell me, give me a call every couple of weeks and just let me know you're still there.
Sure.
And I'm like, I totally understand that. I'm not gonna get upset, but if I don't hear from you for 3 or 4 months, then I'm gonna get a little annoyed.
It's crazy times we're in.
Yes,
It's almost like, I hate to say this, but it's almost like we might be in a situation where we have to buy a couple of used cars. I mean, you can only wear these cars are driving out so much.
Well,
Yeah,
that's why either that or we might have to do what we've done once so far is, there was a brand new pickup at a local
Yeah.
dealership that we could access
yeah,
and just go buy that.
yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
don't worry, because it's not set up to be a pursuit
Yeah.
for these vehicles.
Yeah,
But
yeah, so.
as I say, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah,
So,
yep.
All right.
All
Excellent.
right.
Thank you very, very much, Jason.
All right, thank you.
We've got a short break here. We can just sit and make up stories, I guess. I don't know. Betty, I texted Kelly and Karen and asked them to please let Mike and Dale know that we're running early. Because they're next on the agendas, but so we've got some idle time.
which is great for me to run early, believe me.
No, we.
This is my bad time to have a meeting, so
Yeah, okay. Well, we apologize for that, Betty.
that's all right. Not your fault.
Elaine, just not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot. I read in the paper where the governor has, I can't remember how many million she's putting toward broadband.
Mhm.
This is very, very exciting. I don't kind of understand any of it, but I where it said something about there was gonna be so much allocated to so many groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you guys are up into that somewhere, because you've already got your study done.
It's almost done. The feasibility study right now, they've had it for about a month and they told us it was gonna take about 6 weeks. And every time we have a meeting, we meet with Mark Willett, who is the one that's heading the Axiom company that is doing the study. And he's been very good about keeping us up to date in what's going on. He's given us a couple of preliminary things, but nothing that, you know, I can say this is what it's gonna be yet. I was gonna ask you about that because with the ARPA money coming in, I was in a webinar yesterday through MMA, and they talked about, you know, the things you can and can't use for, you know, for the ARPA money. And you've got to be careful because if you use it for the wrong thing and you do a report on that, then they're gonna claw that back. And they do have a report due April 30th, whether you spent any money or not. So I figured you guys were aware of that. But
Yeah.
I gotta make our guys aware of it as well.
No, and that's one of the reasons why when initially, when we gave the towns the 20,000, remember at first we were like, and this is what you will do with it.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of flack for that, but, so that's when we kind of, I don't think we went back on our word, but we said, use your best discretion.
Yeah.
And this is why we proceeded very carefully and very cautiously and, you know, employ counsel at times to make sure that we are on the straight and narrow so that,
Yeah.
you know, I would never have to,
No,
want to have to go back to the tax base and say, oops.
yeah, that's not a good thing.
I think we have this gentleman that's on a retainer that knows the game pretty well.
I'm thrilled. I
Yeah.
truly am. I am thrilled with the council that we employ. And several counties in the very beginning actually approached us and said, so what are you guys doing? So we told them, we gave the name and everything else, and they've employed him
Yeah.
also for the same reason.
Yeah, because we have picked up, just this week, we have picked counsel for the broadband committee because we're looking at getting an interlocal agreement.
Mhm.
And so that way we can get all 5 towns as, you know, the basis of this agreement. And then we're gonna try to get it set up, or at least that's what I'm working on, so that once we get it set up and we start running fiber, then we can bring in other towns,
Mhm.
you know, but that's at the daydream stage right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're thinking about it, but we don't know if we can, how it's gonna work.
No,
Uh-oh, I'm gonna get corrected, I think.
No, I was just gonna ask, since you have a few minutes. Are you familiar with what is it called, the broadband utility?
We
District.
just started looking at that.
I just don't know if you folks have heard about
Yeah.
that at all.
I have not had a chance to read it through yet.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's state run that they're trying to push this out, or if it's like, I don't know who the driver, I guess,
Nick
is.
is the driving force behind it,
Yeah,
and they would much rather work with a utility
yeah,
than they would individual towns.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why we're pushing for the utility.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's, once we gotta get the feasibility study done, then we can
Yeah.
go, you know, we're planning, but we're not doing.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's based on a model in Vermont, where they kind of,
Partly, yeah.
partly, they have these, more or less, it's a public utility, but it's based on a larger district, and they call them broadband utility districts, I think, or something to that effect. But anyway, that
Yeah, I
was,
think it began with the letter C, but that's.
Yeah,
don't quote
and
me on that.
I remember, I just remember hearing about it in the last meeting, I think, and it was one of the first times I heard of it.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if you folks had heard of that term at all, or if that's what it is relating to, I believe. That's all I was. Wasn't correcting you on anything, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, because I mean, I know it's gonna be expensive. And well, you've heard in the meetings that we've got a couple of quotes, but nothing that we can say definitively yet.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on, is trying to get, basically, we're trying to get our ducks in a row so that when we get ready to take the next step, everything's gonna be in place.
Yep.
And so we picked Bernstein Shore for our attorneys. And I think they've got a lot of experience working with municipal towns and that sort of thing. And so, the other thing that I was gonna ask you guys about is, I had heard basically town gossip, we all hear it, that, the ARPA money, a lot of it was gonna go towards refurbishing the courthouse. And I hadn't heard anything, so I thought I'd ask.
Stories,
That courthouse, the old Superior courthouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
zero money.
Zero money on it.
Where did the stories come from?
It was one of the ladies I had lunch with.
Yeah.
So like town gossip usually is nothing more than town gossip.
Yeah,
And so, you know,
No,
she had
I-
heard from so-and-so who
last
said
month
something
there was
irregular.
in jail.
well, yeah, there was another time that we were building a jail, you're right. No, the old Superior Courthouse, although it is extraordinary and lovely and historical and whatever, is not going to be refurbished by us. We've spent all the money on that we
They
could
were going to.
justify,
Okay,
truly.
That's good.
Yep, yeah.
So what are you gonna spend the money on?
So some of the ideas that we're kicking around, and again, this is why we have council, is everyone is well aware that we're building a new lone standing EMA building at our property, the county property over in Swanville. That's been, I think, well publicized
Yeah.
and everything else. And because of coming out of this pandemic and what we've learned out of it and what we've learned from the ARPA money, you need to have, they highly recommend, obviously, a standalone facility to disperse everything from PPP gear and so on and so forth. Hence the reason why we're gonna move the EMA. We're also building another warehouse. Is warehouse the
Yeah,
proper wording
yeah.
for it, for the garden? Because fortunately or unfortunately, Commissioner Shorey and Captain Walker can produce more vegetables than any known group. But we can't house enough, we don't have enough room to house a lot of this. So unfortunately, we have to get rid of veggies ahead of time instead of being able to store them and what have you. And Bill, I know I'm gonna get the number wrong, was it 170,000 pounds of fresh veggies that we
Yeah,
dispersed?
we produced about a year, yeah.
So that fell under the ARPA funds also. In doing that, one of the other things that we learned is how through this pandemic, and we prayed that it never happens again, but is how to secure a building or facility like we've learned to. And in the Superior Courthouse, you can't. It's 100+ year old building that we couldn't secure it personal safety wise and pandemic wise. So our intention is to move the DA staff up to what was the EMA.
Oh, okay.
We also have had incidences with the DA staff over there at the Superior Courthouse that puts the safety and security of employees in danger. So we feel that if they were up at the public safety building, what more fitting a place for them to be?
Yeah.
And we're still kind of, truly, Elaine, we're still kind of tossing around some ideas on deeds. Do we build a standalone building to put the registry of deeds in? And that way we could then, sell that building, or, do what we need to do with that building? What do we do with them? So,
So are you running out of room in the building now, or?
no, ma'am, but
Okay.
if we didn't have the DA's office upstairs and we didn't have the deeds downstairs,
Mhm.
it's a big building to heat for just one, area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Economically, it's kind of foolish to have such a huge building that's only encompassing such a small area. And again, with the pandemic, we learned that we couldn't secure, like you can a normal office building, and drop a petition here. I mean, the ceilings are 30 feet.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that we're looking at. But again, and you'll see as selectmen, you can have this list of, this is what we'd like to do. And then all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, scratch that one, let's try this. There's like a plan A, B, and C. And again, look at what we're looking at for fuel costs and commodities and everything else. It's obscene. And right now, our heating oil, thank goodness, we bought last year and we had locked in on a price. Keith isn't here to tell you, but it's obscene what it costs to heat that Superior Court building.
Okay,
So,
so that's just, some things that I wanted to kind of take back.
yeah,
And
but we're not building a jail and we're not refurbishing that.
Well, no, when I
I'm
was
gonna dedicate
elected,
all of it to broadband.
there was a study that had just been completed on the Superior Court building. It's gonna cost $500,000 to just put a heat system, change the boiler,
And that was how many years ago, Bill?
10 years. So that building doesn't have anything in its favor going forward. It is got so many issues of security. As a matter of fact, that someone using the upstairs has to have access to come in the downstairs. So a for sale sign would be a good thing for that building.
One of the last thing, and then I know you're waiting.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Is when you were talking about the excess vegetables from the garden, I know that the town of Freedom right now is in talks with this Daybreak Alliance. And I don't have the information in front of me because I didn't think to bring it. And what they're doing is they are a distributor for a lot of local farms. And if you like, I can send you, might help you guys distribute the vegetables that you have, and you might be able to make $1 on it. I don't know.
We cannot profit on it.
Cannot, okay.
We cannot profit, and we're very careful, Elaine. And I don't mean to jump on you. You can jump in anytime. I mean, we have done, Bill and the folks at the garden specifically have done an incredible job at never stepping on the toes of local farmers
Okay,
that generate revenue for their product. We cannot do that.
okay, I didn't know that.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
We never sold one nickel worth of stuff.
Okay. That's good, thank you. That clears that up for me.
you're welcome. Thank you, Elaine.
Well,
Can I say one more thing? Sorry, I keep interrupting. I apologize. It reminded me when you're talking about COVID and working remotely, that sort of thing. That would be an added benefit of a new phone system as well, is people could literally take their phones with them home and just be at their extension. So that's another reason why. That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. Get back in there.
Yes, I know, I'm sorry.
Take your desk
Oh,
call home with you.
Director Larrabee, would you join us?
Did you see the gas prices at Weaver's? Regular unleaded is $3.95 a gallon right now at Weaver's.
I just told Bill in
Crazy.
Albion, in the little town of Albion, the other day it was 380.
Troy General still has the cheapest around at $3.49.
You remember back a few months ago when I was fighting the $10,000 for the gas budget for the sheriff's department? Come in handy now, wouldn't it?
And again, like I said, I mean, we're grateful in this business, if you
Yeah.
will, none of us at home probably, but that we're locked in on heating oil.
Right.
For the year, because I can tell you, I keep a close eye on my tank, and when she starts to drop down at all, it's like I call them, because
Yeah.
it's a lot cheaper to get 100 gallons than
It is.
250.
It is. I've been doing it 100 gallons at a time just to,
And I've resorted back, I've become an 89-year-old mother, where it's like, turn the heat down, put on a sweatshirt, it's.
I'm lucky I have number 2 and not kerosene.
I have.
You know, we
I
have a
K1.
Yeah.
330-gallon tank at home and in the house. We got a delivery the other day and the tank is about half full. $520.
It's insane.
Where is this money coming from? How are people gonna pay the bill?
That's
Right.
right, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
And we haven't seen the end of this yet.
No,
Work.
And then you go to the grocery store, and I know we've all complained for so long about grocery shopping. God knows I hate it. But what used to be a bag of groceries for 25, 30 bucks. I got
Yeah,
2
I-
bags the other day and it was 160. And I'm just looking at them thinking, guys, it's all
Hey,
in
Pops.
generic stuff and, yeah, I don't know, so.
My wife and I come to Belfast the other day. She wanted a noon time out. We've been home about 3 years.
She was sick of it.
So she got a takeout roll at the new place out by the shopping mall.
Mhm.
And I got a cheeseburger from a Boston, $17. Now it's, think of it, $17. $17 by 2 years ago.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna transpire.
All right, Mike,
Sorry
let's
about
go to
that.
Mike.
Go on a whiny tirade.
Yeah.
Somebody's joined us in the back of the room. I apologize.
I'm with the Republican girl.
Oh, good Lord, we're sitting here whining. I hope you can relate. Good morning.
So I got good news, bad news.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Of course, you're following up after Jason. Why not?
well, Jason just keeps asking for money, so. We just had so good news, we just had a hiring process. We only had 4 applicants. We interviewed the 4 applicants. We've selected 2. I already spoke to one of them. We're gonna hire Jim Porter from the sheriff's office. He's gonna transfer over to dispatch. So I'd like to confirm him. We haven't set a start date or a pay rate yet of what we're gonna bring him in yet. But I wanted to get him confirmed, so, because I want to get him going on his 2 weeks and everything else, so he can get to the academy the first week of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
When is, I'm assuming he's going to resign from his current.
he is,
position or
yes.
Retire. I should
Yes.
say.
So he's gonna do he was gonna be here, but they've been busy this morning.
Yeah.
So he's gonna put in his 2 weeks and then straighten out with his retirement. I don't know how much time he needs between, so I wanted to get him going quickly. And then we're gonna hire another person from that process. So that's the good news. Bad news is I lost one of my dispatchers at the end of, over the weekend. The new hire, Cassie. It was just too much for her, so she was stressed out going home, and it was affecting family life and stuff like that. So she called it quits over the weekend.
So she's officially. resigned.
She is, yep. I gotta get all the paperwork to Kelly and everything, but yeah, she is done.
Just make sure that that stuff gets in ASAP.
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear.
Do we have to have a motion important?
I think I would entertain a motion. Betty, would you consider making a motion to hire James Porter?
Yes,
Retiring.
retiring and whatever. Yes,
And starting his new employment with the comm center. Bill,
I second the motion, yeah.
the effective date, you would like to make that?
He doesn't, I don't know what once he straightens everything out, what the hiring date would be. I will send it down a letter once I know from him.
So I'll entertain the motion that we hire him for the position and a date to be
Yeah.
followed up on. So any further discussion on Mr. Porter? Seeing none, all of those in favor?
aye,
Betty? Okay.
aye,
Thank you, Betty.
I think part of it comes back around to, I had a conversation with a couple of people that sent me resumes, but didn't put any applications in. And we've had this discussion before, but it's the high stress, and they can go work at Walmart for the same amount of money. And I think unfortunately, we're gonna keep circling around to that same thing, and there's not much we can
Not to make
do.
you feel better, but just to know, I think every business right now
Correct.
is in this same boat. Mike.
Yep.
So I'm excited that I gotta stop calling him deputy porter, but you know.
Yep. No, and I think Jim will do well, and he's got a lot of experience, and he's gonna bring a lot of knowledge and stuff, and I think he'll do well there. It'd be good for him, good retirement job.
Right, one to the other.
Yep,
We're down one on
Down-
employees.
we'll still be down one because we lost Cassie. And I honestly don't think Jim will go anywhere, but
Yeah.
I'll see what happens when we select the next one from this process and see how that works out.
You have
No, we're
officially-
well aware we're gonna have to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Out there on the next contract, we're coming up, and December, we'll start working on that.
Yep.
June and July.
Yeah, no, and that's fair, and what you did for the dispatchers with the extra there was good, and,
Yeah.
you know, they're happy with that, and I mean, the ones I have now, I believe are happy. They're working a lot of overtime, but
Yeah.
they seem to be happy, and I think once we get more staffing, we'll be doing better.
Good, good, good night.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd entertain a motion to accept Cassie's resignation. Cassie's last name.
Armstrong Hopkins.
So be it.
Second,
Bill has made the motion to resignation. Betty has seconded. Any further discussion? Say none. All of those in favor?
aye. Aye,
Very unfortunate. Thank you, Betty.
The new tower at Point Lookout, the week of March 14th, they'll start up there and get that all put together. So that's some good news. We had some hiccups with the new radio system. Two towers failed structurals, the one up in Unity. We don't have any lease on that one, or we have no obligation to that one. So we're looking, I reached out to Unitel. I sent them the structural report. I don't know what their stand is, if they're going to tear down the tower or rebuild it or what. But I did leave it with them that if they put up a new tower, that I'd still like to be on that one.
Yeah.
This is the Quaker Hill one.
It
correct?
is, yes. But Norm is also, we've identified a few other options up that way, and he's going to reach out to the tower companies and stuff to see if we can work something out with some of them up there instead of that location.
Right.
But we have, that one's an easy one. We have no obligation up there. The other one that failed was the Windy Hill Tower in Frankfort, that the report said it was an old tower. It was supposed to be a freestanding tower, and it was guyed, and it shouldn't have been guyed off. So I reached out to Black Diamond just to see what it would cost just to throw up some new steel. The steel's the cheap part, so it shouldn't be too bad, but there's also a cell tower directly behind it. So Norm is going to reach out to US Cellular just to see if we can maybe rent
Is there any
space
room?
on that tower. So other than that, the construction is almost done at the comm center. They've got the walls up in the conference room, painted. Electrician's up there today, finishing up some stuff. Hoping to get that done either end of this week, beginning of next week.
Nice.
With the small outbreak of COVID that we had at the comm center, we have a crew up there today, actually sanitizing the whole radio room, cleaning it, and it's a company out of, I don't know where they're out of actually, but
It's okay.
but they're not a local company. They fly them in, and they worked it out with another comm center to save on some of the travel costs. And so they did the comm center yesterday, and they're doing us today, and it takes about 2 hours per console to really go and deep clean them. And so they're doing that today.
Did you do this through Keith?
Yes.
I'm not trying to be a stick in the mud, but what is this? What is the cost of this?
It was somewhere between 15 and 2,000, right around there.
Coming out of Keith's budget?
Yes, Keith's.
Mike, how's
I don't mean to
consultant
be-
doing for us?
How's what?
The consultant doing for us?
Very, very well. Yeah, I drove down and met with him in New Hampshire this past Monday. We had a good meeting about tower stuff. He's been amazing. He's worked out very, very well for us.
This is Norm.
This
right?
is Norm,
Yeah,
yep.
Good.
He's been doing all the paperwork. So like with these tower sites, he's got contacts for all these companies. So I did some driving around to tower sites, got the info of towers, and then he took all the information, did all the research, did all the mapping, and yeah, he's been very, very helpful. I'm glad we hired him.
So he's a good investment.
Oh,
I'm grateful.
well worth it. Well
Yeah,
worth it.
okay, Yeah,
Yep, that's all I have.
Excellent.
well, it's mostly good news, Mike, that's good.
Unfortunate about the tower failures, but.
Yeah,
it is what It is.
it is what it is.
Dale?
Yeah, we actually contacted US Cellular before we put the tower up at Windy Hill, to try to get pricing. They wanted us to have $10 million in liability.
Yeah,
They were only doing $1 million in liability with landlord. They also wanted us to pay, I think it was $10,000, $12,000 a year lease, which they were only paying the landlord themselves 5,000, 5 or 6,000. I had a copy of the agreement that they had with the landlord. So we were gonna be paying for our tower and their tower, basically. So I hope he has much better luck than we did.
Yeah, the other option we were looking at was possibly going back up on Mount Waldo, because that would cover that same area. And I think we could take all of that equipment minus the tower portion and bring it up there.
But you are right, you can, and that's a standard grown 45G section that's there.
Yeah.
The steel's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
As long as the foundation's okay, I would think it would be.
I sent the plans that you gave me to Black
And
Diamond.
25 tons of concrete.
Yeah.
That little tower stuff too.
Wow.
I'm hoping that they can come up with something that matches that same design
They should.
and just put new steel up and call it good. That's what I'm hoping for. Because that, I mean, they said, you know, a tower is 15, 20,000.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing the whole entire thing at 250,000,
Yeah.
so. I think that's gonna be our best bet, because then we don't have to change licensing and all that stuff, and,
Good, good.
so, right, the infrastructure's all there, so. But
Sounds good.
Excellent. Mike, thank you.
thank you.
Betty, do you have any questions for Mike?
No, I
Sorry,
don't. No, sounds like a good report.
Thank you.
Good, sure.
Bill Rowley, Director of our EMA. And overseeing incredibly well our ARPA project. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. So this is all about the Swanville project. We did send out the stormwater permit application to DEP. As part of that requirement, you have to notify the abutters, and that's why that lady, Jessica came in.
Yes, okay, which was so confusing. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting in the office the other day, and this young lady comes in and she's got a paper, and she didn't understand.
That was my granddaughter.
Oh, okay, and she didn't understand what.
Hang on just 1 second here, and we can quickly unlock that.
I read it and Karen read it, and we're both kind of like looking our heads. And finally, that's when I said, I really think this has to do with this.
Yeah, I can reset your password for you.
That's a great idea.
I'm assuming you're not her. And that's when she told me.
Yeah, no, we can get that reset for you. Let's see here. Oh, yeah.
Jason, please mute yourself. My apologies.
So what happens is, it goes.
So
to-
this is part of the
it goes-
process.
The stormwater permit goes to the DEP, and abutters can contact, they can send their comments to the DEP about the project.
Okay.
They can also go look at the application itself. It lists out that they can go to the municipal office in Swanville. They have much better luck coming to my office and take a look at it.
I advise them to come to your office.
And then if they want a public hearing, they can actually request a public hearing from the DEP. It's not an automatic and they can turn it down, but if they would like a public hearing, that's where they would go to the DEP to apply for that. Now, one of the other abutters is the Belfast Water District.
We're on. Remember.
And they have a well about 2,000 feet away, and we're right on top of their aquifer. So we met with, they asked for a meeting, and we met with them, and that was the architect, the civil engineer on the project who's doing the stormwater permit, myself, Rob, Keith Pooler from Belfast Water District, and Ricky Pershkin from Dirigo Engineering,
Yeah.
who represents them. I know you know Ricky.
Sure.
I worked with him for 2.5 years for Eddie Hudson. Their concern was that we were gonna put, nasty stuff into the ground
Goodness, no.
and would impact the aquifer. There was some recommendations and there is no wellhead protection area ordinance for Swanville. So, and we're not in they have two zones, zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 is, there's things that are prohibited, you can't do.
Certainly.
Zone 2 is, there are things that you can do, but they recommend that you do certain best management practices. If the town had an ordinance, they could make those recommendations required. Now, DEP could also make some of those things required if they wanted to. And so we're not under Swanville, but we are under DEP with a stormwater permit. We went through and pretty much agreed, most of the stuff we were already doing anyways. They were really pushing hard for us to have a wet pond. And I said, that's where 75% of our stormwater is going, is to a wet pond, which
Right,
means it holds the water.
okay,
And only during, I think it's greater than a 25-year storm, would it overflow, and there's an overflow place for that, and then it goes into a level spreader, but it doesn't infiltrate directly into the ground. A couple of the other much smaller swales that we had were set up for infiltration. We're redesigning those. There'll be a 30 mil plastic layer put underneath them. And so instead of infiltrating directly into the ground, it will also be spread out over the ground surface. One thing that was kind of a contention was we have a drip line where the water comes off the roof on the warehouse, comes into a drip line and would infiltrate. And they were worried about that. It's like, well, there's not going to be any chemicals or oils being dumped on the roof and coming into this thing. So we're going to go to the DEP with that piece and see, where they want to lie with that. If we have to not do infiltration there, then we may just have to pave up to the side of the building so that the water drains to a stormwater catch
okay,
basin.
I
So
understand.
it's not a huge issue.
Right,
There were other question was about the septic system, but it's going to be an official design system. The one change, and this had nothing to do with the stormwater permit, the one change that we are looking at because of the cost was instead of having the bathroom for the crew, the garden crew in the warehouse, we've got a spot in the EMA office that has direct access from the outside, but no access into the rest of the building. So instead of having a septic tank and septic lines and everything else, we got two bathrooms in the EMA building. One is direct access from the porch. And then it doesn't go, it's a half bath, it doesn't go anywhere else. But that way you were able to cut down on a lot of piping and septic tanks.
so you don't have to have two septic systems.
Olga was worried about those guys coming into our office. So they don't have access to the office.
That makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, but it makes good sense.
Especially,
But,
especially,
There was
you
a
know,
big
this
one-
conversation, Dale, they're a long ways from that well. That well is next door to us.
We are in what's called their zone 2, which, like I said, things aren't restricted, not permitted, prohibited from being able to do.
Yeah,
So we can still do all this stuff.
Oh.
But if the town had a wellhead protection area zone ordinance, they could require some of these BMPs to be implemented,
yeah.
which we're looking to do anyways.
we were doing safe practices
I
prior
I
to.
understand all that, but you're talking about
It's,
this well is a sizable distance.
it is, but the aquifer that feeds that well runs right directly into that property. So
I think
we're
you're on the right
in
track.
and you probably know about it, it's the 2,500 day zone,
Yeah,
which is 7 years. So if something got into the ground now, it would be 7 years before it showed up at the well.
Yeah.
But with the best management practices, you're trying to keep that from even happening to begin with. It hasn't made a huge piece to the project. The only bone of contention that we had was that infiltration for the one side of the roof of the warehouse. And if that had to change, DEP could require that. It's not going to be a big change. But it didn't, there's a much greater chance of a tanker truck driving down Swan Lake Avenue, flipping over in the ditch and dropping 10,000 gallons into the ground than somehow chemicals getting on the roof and running off the roof into the strip edge.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
but, so that was the only thing that was there. And I said, look, for example, the septic was the other piece. When they looked at what we had for septic design, they were fine with that.
I do like the idea of just going with one
But
septic
now all the
system.
bathrooms are in
Yeah,
the one building.
that makes sense.
And the one bathroom, originally, we were going to have a sprinkler system in the building. Of course, that's a difficult prospect because we don't have city water. So you then have to have all kinds of storage tanks and everything else. It was turning into a very large cost, so we deleted it. But the space we originally created for that sprinkler room, half of that now was going to be used for the crew bath.
Yeah.
So it didn't take anything away from the EMA. We were just throwing it into the camp.
I call it a public bathroom.
Public bathroom. Now, if we wanted to, it could be locked up and the crew, the grounds crew, the garden crew could have their key to that thing, so no one else is going in there.
Which is something down the road we can
Right.
worry about.
So
It's a matter of
that's
law.
that piece. This is that best management practices for groundwater protection that we were looking at, making sure that we follow. Once we have a stormwater permit engineer out of Bangor on the permit, Tom Fowler, the civil engineer, and I are gonna go down, meet with him and go over this stuff, see what they expect or not expect.
Now, was Tom with you the other day in your meeting?
Yes,
Okay, good.
he's the one that designed the whole stormwater system.
Okay.
The one thing it may do is it may upsize the pond a little bit, which is actually, I don't think a bad thing.
Oh.
That gives us even more water, that standing water that we can use for gardening or for firefighting.
Yeah,
So. Now. Their original cost estimate for the project was 6.7 million. We budgeted 2.5. We made some minor changes and now lo and behold, it's down to 3.5. Which I still think is outrageous. We're looking at a building, the warehouse building is 2/3 the size of the current storage building that's out there. And they're expecting it's gonna cost $1 million. Without site work. Just, they're kind of thinking $1 million. And I know you guys spent with site work, a little over 100,000.
how many about that, yeah,
So I'm not sure how they can get from 100,000 to $1 million when the building is smaller.
These are the architect's figures though,
Right,
right? Which
yes.
we've already seen are a bit out there.
Right. So we're at that point. So some of the options that we've got, or that I'm looking at now is, we've made an added bid item out of the warehouse and the foundation for the warehouse. So if for some reason it does come in, or they say it is, and I think they're bonkers, but then we could always drop off the building, but still build the foundation for it. So later on, we could build it in-house at a lot cheaper. Or the whole thing could just go. But that's, if it's $1 million and they're saying it's gonna cost 3.5, you drop off $1 million, that puts us down to our budget, 2.5. So no matter what, we can still build the EMA building. And I'm still pretty sure we can build a warehouse too. The other option is, so the thought is we continue with doing the bid process, and drop off the warehouse if need be, or we don't accept any of the bids and we do the work ourselves. I know you and I have.
I've looked
conversation.
into perhaps doing the work ourselves. And I've got a couple feelers out there right now to find out how we continue with that process once we have the plans to continue to advance ahead.
I can act as the construction superintendent if need be. And then we hire all the subs basically. The biggest sub is going to be the building contractor, the one actually building the building. Now, this building is the size of a house with a garage.
And that's what I mean. We're
So-
not talking something with multiple angled roofs or anything like that. I mean, one is a warehouse and the EMA building, you know, like you said, yeah, that's like a house with less.
It's a 2,500 square foot house with a 2,000 square foot garage attached.
Yeah.
With the building. So not only could commercial contractors build this, I'm pretty sure residential contractors can build it too. And if we did go ourselves, we would probably need to find a carpenter crew. And I'm not sure if like Dennis Fry would be available, or if he's still working, or I don't know.
the only problem, Dennis doesn't climb anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be able to do it, does smaller.
Yeah.
One-story projects but another thing I would mention to you, Dale, is Northeast, it's out in that area.
Yeah.
They probably have built maybe 100
Are they still? in
poultry
business?
houses in the state of Maine,
They're not-
insulated buildings.
Yeah.
that take small chicks. This is a really insulated building with,
Right.
so I don't see where these numbers are coming from.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I-
and
these
Bill,
numbers
that's
are
the thing. That's why it's
I
like,
know
no,
costs
we
have
need
gone
to.
up, but
we need to do that, but we've got to get the
Yeah,
plans and everything
yeah.
else through the engineers.
We're
But
hoping to have the plans done by, probably by another 4 or 5 weeks. So we got, so then we could move from there. We could go to bid, or we could try to do it ourselves, or.
no, I think we do it ourselves. I've got a couple feelers out there. Remember I said you put some feelers out there too, and you should, Bill, about, because my first thought was if we did it on our own and we bought our own supplies, a lot of contractors, that's where they make some money is on the supplies.
Yeah.
And I thought, are they gonna wanna take the job? But
They also don't have the risk.
that's right. They don't
Prices
have to
go
try
up.
to explain to the owner why they can't get 2x6s, why they can't get this, why they can't.
They're gonna be bidding now in May, but they may not be buying materials until June or July. If
Yeah.
prices go up, they're eating it.
Yeah.
Whereas if we buy the materials, yeah, we're going to pay a little bit more for those materials,
But we're the ones that,
but they're not taking the risk whatsoever. So I think if we sat down with the contractor and said, look, if we buy them the building materials, first of all, we're getting it tax exempt. They're not. We're not paying markup. So we're gonna make some huge,
well,
probably
there's a
25,
savings,
at least
right.
25% savings there. And they don't have any risk. They're not buying the materials later on, realizing, oh, they're more expensive now, and I bid this.
Yeah.
So they may, especially if it's a smaller firm.
Yeah.
No,
What's the dimensions of this building, Dale?
Well, square footage, the garage is 40 by 50, it's 2,000 square feet. The building is like 47 by, oh God, 30 something. It comes out to about 2,600 square feet.
And what is the dimensions of the storage building?
The storage building is 50 by 85 or something like that.
Yeah,
Its total dimensions are 4,600 square feet.
that's one story building.
The warehouse building and the EMA building combined are smaller than the sheriff's office building.
Yeah,
We spent $1.5 million on that. They're claiming it's gonna be 3.5. I don't, and this is half of this square footage is an empty warehouse. And half of the remaining is a garage.
Yeah.
So only a quarter of the entire square footage is actually occupied space.
yeah.
So it blows my mind that they think it's gonna cost it, but
I think if we had, the flexibility to get that job done ourselves, it would be a good thing.
I think that's a huge, and
We've been
I
around
actually,
building
I
a long
actually
time.
think contractors right now are a bit nervous to
Yeah.
try to take that bite and assume that they can get the supplies. So it's worth looking into.
they're also not, the other risk that they don't have is the time frame. If it, typically in a bidded contract, you're gonna say, you gotta have it done in 9 months. Well, then the steel shows up late and they're in trouble.
Yeah.
If it takes us a year to build it,
They're not out.
they're not out anymore. So,
Back in the days of the poultry business, we used to be able to construct a 10,000 square foot building in 11 days.
I was thinking about seeing if they wanted to be the building on this is the Amish.
Mhm.
They just built their own new building in 2 weeks.
What was that, Dale?
The
The
Amish,
Amish.
they
Oh,
lost,
yeah,
they lost their general store, it burned down.
Yeah.
And they had the darn thing up and was closing in a couple, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah,
That was
Absolutely.
it's extraordinary.
We could take borrow the vans from the jail to go pick them up.
No, hey, it's worth looking into. It
Yeah.
really is. They also have a very good connection with metal roofing.
So Mike, if we go that route, then I probably want to rent a construction trailer like the superintendent would,
Right.
so that I can work from there. My thought was I come in the morning, I go there, I work. I've got my EMA computer with me, so I can also do EMA stuff in between. And then at the end of the day, go back down to work and finish up whatever needs to be
Yeah.
done and then head home.
No, that makes
After
perfect
this.
sense.
So, as far as I can tell, we do have to follow the CFR 200 section of expenditures. So where we have to go out to bid is over 250,000. So as long as we keep each contractor that we're hiring under 250,000.
Yeah.
Doesn't have.
Doesn't have to go out to bid. We still, you have to do a cost estimate and ensure that they're not trying
Do a
to
report,
rip
right?
you off. But we wouldn't have to go out to bid with this funding.
Yeah.
If it's under 250,000.
That's amazing what the world says something costs and what we can pull strings and do ourselves. So, yeah, thank you, Dale.
Yeah, so that's, several of the options, but we can get, it's gonna be another, probably like I said, 4 or 5 weeks. We also have to wait to build the building, we have to wait on the fire mission permit. We don't have to wait to do the landscaping, the site work. And we also have to wait for DEP stormwater permit, which could hold up the site work. So we can't start breaking ground until we get the DEP permit.
Well,
We
can't do anything right now anyway,
Right.
so.
Neil, I don't want to throw names around here, but I'll tell you that we have people that have worked construction work, groundwork I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
When we were building the farm.
Yeah.
Extremely valuable people.
Any names that you've got for contractors, please send them my way.
Oh, yeah.
Because what I can do too is I can give them a copy of the plan and say, hey,
Thoughts?
what are your thoughts on building this and how much?
I'll call you up later.
Right. And then we could reach out to another local firm and say, what would you do?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an official bid, and we can put in those stipulations that, hey, I'll give their case, materials aren't a big issue. That's local materials, so get it out of, local pits.
We had to do a lot of groundwork on that big storage building.
Yeah.
And when we did the groundwork, the groundwork was $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what they've got, the architects got down for the site work for this? $750,000.
Didn't we have some of our own gravel?
Oh, we have, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a big, yeah.
I mean.
Well, I'll call you up and,
Yeah.
trade some information with you.
Okay. Oh, and then the last thing is I'm also working the construction permit with the town of Swanville. And that meeting went really great. We don't have to go through the planning board, just the code enforcement officer. And the only thing I have to provide him now is I gotta give him the HHE 20, the design for the septic system.
Certainly.
Which we're waiting on. We have a contractor already for that, to design it. The plumbing permit, which I've already started filling out myself. He has to approve it and sign off on it. Code enforcement officer, is a plumbing inspector also. And then the stormwater permit. Once I've got those, I turn this in and we're done. And they're not gonna charge us anything because he says you're a government agency. So,
Excellent.
so Swanville's gonna be, it's been great to work with Swanville.
Oh, yeah, nice people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's where we are with the project right now. We're halfway done with the construction documents.
Good,
They're finishing up right now.
all sounds good.
There's a bunch of things that we originally took out of this project that we were looking to put back in later. And that could just be if we do it ourselves.
And maybe we can do it later, depends on the savings, but.
For example, the solar system, we're looking to put solar panels on the roof and batteries inside to run the building during a long-term power outage. The architect doesn't have anybody, and there's very few engineers out there that design these systems. The only ones that design them are the ones who build them. Well, in a bid process, you can't have the same person design it as bid it. So they can't find anybody to design it. So I just said, take it out, just make sure that there's roof left there, that there's room in the mechanical room for the batteries, that there's piping for the wires and all that. We'll leave that in the project, and then we'll just hire somebody like Revision to go in, and if it's under 250,000, which it will be,
Right.
we don't have to go out to bid. So then the same bidder is the same one building, designing and building it. So.
Oh.
So
it's
Dale,
it's
if we
crazy.
took, I want to go back to this storage building. If we took, and you talk about the limitations, what we have to stay under. We have a groundwork guy to do the groundwork, a cement guy do the cement work, and then the building by itself, we get there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but then we don't have to do that.
No, that's
And
right.
it's a wood frame building, so we're not waiting on special metal. We can buy local lumber, we can have local carpenters put it up.
Yeah.
And then we're just gonna insulate it with batt insulation. Put plywood on the
Have you
walls.
thought of that spray foam insulation?
We did, You have to be a special applicator to put it up. It's actually a lot more expensive than bad insulation. And we can do the bad insulation in-house ourselves.
Oh, yeah, I'll help you there. I've
Yeah,
done that
just
plenty
split
of
up
times.
sides and in the attic, you run 2 layers, going opposite directions
Yeah.
and you're done. And then instead of having a boiler system in there, which is what the original plan was, we were just gonna put 4 direct vent heaters in there.
Yeah.
Because we're only looking to keep the building at like 45 in the winter time, just so that if water
Doesn't
doesn't freeze,
freeze.
bottled water
Sure.
doesn't freeze and cans of food don't freeze up and those type of things. And then it's not being heated or cooled in the summertime. Just open the door if it gets too hot in there.
But,
That's a
right,
good deal.
So I can't imagine $250,000 for that building would be outrageous, and they're saying it's $1 million. So
Just have to get creative.
Yeah.
And we got all of these hard-working main people that specialize in certain things.
no, it'll be a lot of work. We've got garage door installers, and so I mean, the work of the superintendent, what we're paying the general contractor is probably paying him $100,000 to do this. We'll have to do it ourselves.
Sears Mall still make trusses.
No, they went out, but there's a place over in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can get trusses from, and that's where I got the trusses for
Yeah, sure.
the green building that's up at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Probably the trusses for the buildings those storage buildings up there all came from that place in Fairfield.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like doing local business. so
Yeah.
Like it a lot. Betty, do you have any questions for Dale? Elaine, quickly?
Yes, have you checked any of that water for PFAS? Or is that even on the map? Because I haven't looked at the map yet.
Sludge wasn't used on those fields.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I'm willing to bet Delta has water district to bring it up.
Yeah. No, I actually looked at that, and I can tell you as a former farmer for many, 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 many years, I'm so proud I never, ever used sludge. And I don't fault the farmers that did back then. You need shit
Yeah.
to fertilize it, and I get it, but we never, ever did. And I do know those fields were never sludge. Good question. Thank you.
Was it hay before when it was dairy farm there?
What's that?
Pardon me?
Did they just do pretty much hay there before?
I
Yes,
think, yeah,
they kept a few cattle,
Yeah.
12 cows, or something like that.
but the fields for the most part were used for hay. I don't even think they did corn.
You know, well, 2 or 3 times out plowing, we've dug up a horse. I don't know, the horses down there.
It's cool. Flat tire. Yeah.
So it's been horse manure spread on the field.
Well, yeah, well, it was horses pulling the plows.
Right.
Yeah.
So, excellent. Does anybody else have anything for Dale? No? Say nothing? Dale? Thank you.
Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
That was all good information. All good information. Miscellaneous business. Commissioner Johnson, how you making it? You got anything for us?
Nope,
No?
no.
The
Bill?
only thing I have that I was upset about somewhat is how our name got on this list.
Wow, and you heard Commissioner Johnson
Yeah.
say that even she wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept emphasizing that to Kelly, that that we received, Elaine, just so you're not completely confused like we are. The 3 commissioners received this document that in looking at it would imply we, the commissioners of Waldo County, are supporting this. I don't even know what it was called. I don't recall what it was called at this point. And it was this long proclamation and it very much implied in looking at the document that we had all gone along with it. And it's like, what is this? And I was under the assumption, I thought, well, I haven't had a chance to speak with Commissioner Johnson, maybe MCCA. And I hadn't, literally, I just speaking with Betty this morning, but I had reached out to 2 other counties that were on this document, all of their commissioners, and they're like, we don't even know what it is. So it's very shocking and bothersome, I think, that our name is attached to this, although in reading it, I think we were supposed to make this or adhere to this proclamation that they were proposing, which, I mean, absolutely not, but.
Makes me think of when I was working for MBNA, they called it assume the sale. And so what they're doing is they want your support in this endeavor. And so instead of saying, may we have your support, they're saying, this is this wonderful document. All you have to do is sign it and then they can run with that.
Yeah.
So I would be suspicious, I think.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah, so
nature,
I
but-
was, so hopefully when Barb gets back and takes these minutes, it becomes very clear that this is, you know, not at all our idea. Anything?
That's all I had.
I have a meeting later this afternoon, a continued meeting with the state, with DEP, with Department of Agriculture, land, forestry, so on and so forth. Because again, we're just trying to get our lines, if you will. And I'm sure everybody's heard about this whole dispute with Knox County, and it is not a dispute. It really isn't. It was somebody that owns land on one of these islands. It's like, where do I get my?
Did my taxes on?
Yeah, who do I pay taxes to? And it was through that it was discovered, the lines weren't updated. Turns out we own more than we realized. And it wasn't like we're trying to steal it away from Knox County or anything like that. Trust me, we're not gonna get, any money out of it. We won't make anything out of the deal, but at this point, it's kind of a matter of, let's just clarify this and get it straight. So I have a meeting with them later this afternoon, and it's been a cool process. The history and stuff like that, I enjoy history, but it's been a really cool process. So that's my excitement. Gonna go back home afterwards and do some more snow blowing.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I will entertain one.
I'll make that.
I'll
motion.
move it.
Who's made it? Betty's moved it. All of those in favor.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Johnson.
All
Have a
right,
good, we are adjourned.
all right, thank you.